you ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. Let me call to order the Tuesday, November 8th monthly meeting of Mount Pleasant Town Council. It's good to see everybody here. I hope you have already voted. And it's a big day in our nation and in our town. Our agenda has been published. Item number 1 is a prayer to be led by Rabbi Revson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Laura Hyatt.
Almighty God, source of all protection, of all legislation, of all goodness and all kindness, we ask you in your ultimate mercy to bestow your blessings upon all those who are gathered here today, upon all the citizens of this great town, and we especially ask for your blessings for our town leadership, mayor, town council, civil servants, men and women of law enforcement and first responders. For have you not taught us in your sacred tradition that when one of your children steps beyond the world of his or her needs or wants, to open a heart to another person, to help another person, to provide care or comfort for another one of your children. This very act opens the doors to your bountiful blessings, and it's for these blessings that we pray today. Amen.
Amen. This flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a
Move to
motion?
approve.
So, second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Item number 4, public hearings, awards, and presentations. First, we are going to recognize some of our youth athletes. Ms. Hyatt.
Here they come. Tonight, we're going to recognize our Mount Pleasant Track Club. Come on in. Okay. After winning both the state title and region meet, 54 athletes traveled to Sacramento, California in July for the 2022 USA Track and Field Junior Olympic Nationals, led by Coach Tammy Dennis. The team had 4 national champions and 24 athletes finish in the top 8 in their events, qualifying them as All-Americans. National champions included Elle Coco placed first in the 11 to 12-year-old girls javelin, making this her 3rd national champion title. She also placed 4th in the shot put. Troy Coco, Elle's older brother, won his 2nd national title in the javelin, winning the 17 to 18 age group this year while competing against some collegiate athletes. Tessa Mudd, a freshman now at Princeton, continued her dominance in the pole vault, winning her 3rd national title. 12-year-old Colin Price won his 1st national championship title in the high jump. Our other All-Americans representing the Mount Pleasant Track Club were McLean Griffin, finishing 2nd in the 1,500 meter, Isaac Paget, finishing 3rd in the javelin, Parker Alberico, finishing 3rd in the high jump and 6th in the javelin. Ethan Tobias finished 4th in the long jump, and Dylan Johnson finished 7th in the javelin. Kaimani Clary finished 6th in the high jump, 3rd in the triple jump, and joined teammates Gabe Hislop, Ganson York, and Tim Young for 4th in the 4x800 team relay. Emmy Sobich finished 8th in the pole vault. Gavin Weiss finished 7th in the pole vault. Sam Smith finished 8th in the pole vault. Karma Moultrie finished 4th in the high jump. John Teachman finished 2nd in the javelin. David Thyland finished 5th in the hammer, as well as 5th in the discus. The Mount Pleasant Track Club placed 8th overall at nationals, with over 400 teams represented. They were the only team to place in every single field event, which shows how well-rounded this team has become. So congratulations to our
Yeah, and let's kind of back up just a little bit if you don't mind. That was good. Thanks, y'all.
Is that the only one? That was it, isn't it? 4A? Thank y'all very much. That moves us to item 5, which is approval of the minutes from the October 11th meeting and the September 2022 financial statement. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in
Yes,
favor?
Yes, sir. I want to let you know I provided 2 Scrivener's errors to the clerk, and they've already been accomplished.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes and the financials are approved. Item 6 is public comment. If you have a public comment to make, please come when the town administrator calls your name from the sign-up sheet. Come to the lectern and 2.5 minutes, please. Name and address.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll call the speakers up 2 at a time, please. Lewis Jefferson and Joe Fersner. Mr. Jefferson, if you'll speak first, please.
Good evening. My name is Lewis Jefferson. I reside at 1128 McKnight Road, Mount Pleasant. I did vote. It's good to be here. I wanted to make a few comments on the agenda items 3, 4, and 5, which is listed as deferral. I'm the Vice President of CAGE, Community Action Group for Encouragement, and we've been working with these developer for maybe a year now, and we've gotten some lumps body, and we're encouraging, while it's being deferred, if in fact it is, that we garnish some time to maybe sit and understand why this body would not approve this project. So maybe we can have some one-on-one or some meetings with you all as a group, because it will be a total loss for developer and the community to desire something, and this body would turn it away and not explain to us why or what ground it's on, because the alternative we certainly don't want, which is another residential development within the community. And it's our understanding they can go forward as it is and build houses and create another residential community, whereas we have an opportunity here to do a PD and create some things to will enhance our community. So we just look forward to maybe working with you guys, like I said, as a group or one-on-one. We'll be more than willing to do that. But we stand in support of the deferral request tonight also. Thank you much.
Thank you, Town Council. My name is Joe Fersner. I live in Bell Hall subdivision off Long Point Road, and I've been in the stormwater management and environmental protection business all my life. And what is happening here is ridiculous. You got a plastic ban in the town of Mount Pleasant, and yet commercial advertisers are able to throw plastic in our driveways. And these don't blow away in the wind, but they will wash into the drains. And they always wash into the drains because nobody picks them up. Very few people pick them up. and it takes a hell of a wind to blow them away. So, I'm sorry, I got away from the mic. I apologize. I just don't understand how the town can have a ban on plastic and not ban plastic. I get resources being low and enforcement being low, but you're going after minute things with your stormwater program and your environmental protection program. This is serious environmental impact right here. I mean, we're talking about College of Charleston and Citadel and other places are doing research on microscopic plastic. This is a bag that could choke a dolphin. And it's washing into our waterways, and it shouldn't be there because there's a ban in the town for plastic for this reason. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
George Sarkis and Mary Rakosi.
Yeah, my name is George Sarkis. I live at 17 Iron Bottom Lane in Daniel Island. I'm one of the principals for The Point, which is item number 6, 7, and 8 on the agenda. And I just wanted to make a statement that we really appreciate the support and the work effort that we've had from staff on getting this project together. And we will be here to answer any questions or concerns anybody on the council have related to this project. Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Rakosi, 136 Heritage Circle. I'm here regarding short-term rentals. I really only have one thing to bring up at this point. The reason we started all this was the capping at 400. And I keep reading the changes that we're making to the ordinance, and I still don't think that we have accomplished the goal that we've set out to do. The verbiage that I'm reading here, the most recent verbiage, says that those of us that are currently operating, we have to register before everybody else, and we shall not be subject to the cap. Before it said we would be considered exempt from the cap. So now it's changed to shall not be subject to the cap. So that to me reads that we are not going to be counted as part of the 400, which means when January comes along, 400 people can register on top of those of us that are already doing it. And I don't believe that was the intent. I'm not quite sure why the language keeps being changed the way it is, and it's not as clear as it could be, but I just want to make my opinion heard regarding this. Thanks so much.
Richard Harkness and Diane Vincent.
Good evening, all. I'm Reverend Richard Harkness, 3420 Southway. On behalf of Olive Branch AME Church, I want to thank first the Planning Committee for recommending the approval of the property on Highway 17, which is part of the churches, to be annexed into the town of Mount Pleasant, and hopefully look forward to the town also approving that recommendation from the Planning Committee. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Vincent, and I live at 242 6th Avenue in Scannonville. And I'm here about the short-term rentals also. I'm also concerned about the language that she just brought up. I also, first of all, would like to thank y'all for listening to some of our concerns that we've had. You guys and Jane and the Planning Committee, y'all have really helped a lot of things that we have addressed. But I am concerned about the permit fee going up, and I would just respectfully ask that you keep it at $250. Thank you.
That's all I have signed up, sir.
Is there anyone who was not able to sign up who wishes to speak?
Bill Maschio, 1319 Lake Mallard Boulevard. Thanks y'all for having us. Stramp has carried on some dialogue with the planning committee and the folks with inside the town. It's been great. But y'all are the ones that passed the cap of 400. Like y'all did that. So I'd like to find a way to keep it down like that if that's what y'all want to do. If it isn't, we'll be overrun like Folly Beach is and everybody else is because they're not having the dialogue. We've been having the dialogue, and I think it's a great thing, and it shows our community does communicate, and we want the best we can for our community by having dialogue like this. And y'all meeting with Stramp, it's really helped. So if y'all want to keep it at the 400, which y'all voted on, that'd be a great thing, I think, because then we won't be overrun. Thank you very much, y'all.
Anyone else? All right, if there's no one else, that will conclude item number 6. Moves us to item number 7, consent agenda items, which run A, B, and C onto the next page. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
The motion is to approve all of the consent agenda items. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Final reading of consent agenda items A, B, and C.
This moves us to section, is it 7? Nope, 8.
8.
8,
Yes, sir.
planning new business.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This first one before you is a proposal to annex a property off of Highway 17. It is adjacent to the church. You can see it there in the aerial.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I just have
Mr. Randall.
one quick question. This is the church, correct?
It's
The
the
AME
church is the, I think my annotator's on. So this is actually the parcel that the church is on, zoned R1. This is a parcel that the church owns, and they want to bring it in and bring it into the town and make it the same zoning. So it'll come in, it'll automatically be zoned R1, same as the church, which is a permitted use.
And it's a permitted use of
Yes,
R1.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
First reading ordinance number 22058.
Item 2.
All right, this next one is in Dunes West off of Colonel Vander Horst. And most of these did come in with the PD. There were some that did not. And you can see the little yellow
Move to
lots
approve.
over the
Second.
years.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
First reading ordinance number 22059.
As you can see, the applicant did request a deferral of the next 3 items related to the properties on the corner of Von Ed Key Parkway and Billy Swills Boulevard. That's an impact assessment and annexation and a zoning for plan development for your
Move
consideration.
deferral as requested by the applicant.
We have a motion to defer. Is
All
there,
3 items.
all, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Is it,
Yes, you have the floor.
I do not see any reason to defer. I think my opinion is formed on this, and I don't think that there's any sort of productive conversation that could be had that would change my mind. So I'm comfortable voting on this tonight.
Right. Any other comments? The motion is to approve the deferral of items 3, 4, and 5. Yes, ma'am.
Just a question. So then we'll vote on this, and then GM would make another motion?
If it's deferred, there is no further discussion. It's deferred.
If the deferral passes.
If it passes.
Okay, so if the deferred passes, if it fails.
If it fails, then
Then-
it's on the
okay.
agenda. Yep.
And I'll just throw my opinion. I think at the very least we should annex it. So I would be in favor of voting in favor of annexing it, and then I'd be comfortable deferring the second 2 items. But anyway, so I'll vote no on the deferral.
Okay.
I'll remove my motion.
Yeah, and I'll remove my second.
Okay, so the motion and the second have been withdrawn.
Move to approve on item number 3, annexation.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to approve on the annexation, which is item number 3. Keeping in mind this is first reading. We have a motion, a second. Any conversation or discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimous.
First reading ordinance number 22060.
I move to approve, I move, I motion to defer items 4 and 5.
Second.
To defer, all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
So is the point of deferral for them to have more discussion then with our staff? Is that what they're asking for?
Don't want to speak for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just requested deferral.
How long can just for general purposes, how long can a deferral be?
Well, sir, for zoning matters, we have 6 months to approve that, or it would automatically be approved. So they can make any number of deferrals. Of course, that is at council's discretion to defer. But if this deferral motion passes, it will be on the agenda next month unless specified by council for any particular length of time.
I was going to ask, do we need to specify? So it would just be deferring it to the next meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, this parcel of land essentially has like nine point something acres of the 10 are a pond. The proposed PD is 28 townhomes and 60,000 square foot of commercial, filling the entire property and building that. This is in the comprehensive plan. This is community conservation. It should come in as community conservation. They would still be able to build 28 homes there under community conservation with the proper lot sizes of 12,500 square feet. They're asking for a zoning that is incredibly intense for this area, for what the comprehensive plan says. I don't see any, again, I don't see any thing that's going to come out of this that's going to change my mind. So again, I'll be voting against the deferral.
Let me get a point from both of y'all, I guess the attorney first. We already voted on first reading to annex it. If that were to pass second reading, it would annex in under community conservation. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. So in order for that to be what they are applying for, which we might defer, would that require an amendment of the comp plan, which requires a 2/3 vote?
No, sir, we would not need to amend the comp plan on this. It would not affect or not require a vote for the comp plan.
Okay. Just wanted to know, because that makes the bar even higher if it did. Okay, any other discussion? The motion is to approve the deferral, so a yes vote is to grant the deferral. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed?
No.
We better do a roll call. Can you turn you got a mic?
Yeah, mine was
Yes.
no.
Yes, sorry. On the deferral, I voted yes.
Mr. Rambo? No. Mr. Rambo votes no. Mr. Ritchie is absent. Mr. Santos?
No.
Mr. Santos votes no. Ms. Whitney?
No.
Ms. Whitney votes no. Mayor Heaney?
No.
Mayor Heaney votes no. Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman votes yes. Ms. Corley?
Nope.
Ms. Corley votes no.
Okay, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So 6-2, the motion is denied.
Move to deny items 4 and 5.
Second.
Motion to deny items 4 and 5 in a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, the motion passes. See, we're one short, so that's 7-1. Moves us to item 6. This is the Bell Hall, Bell Point Drive.
Yes, sir. So this has 3 requests: to annex the property, zone it with a PD ordinance, and to approve an impact assessment and a conceptual plan.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve these 3 items the annexation, the zoning, and the impact assessment. We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir, I'd just like to thank the developers for what they've done here, because I was on the planning commission when another project for this site came in, which was not the best, to put it mildly, and this is so much better. And I'm glad they persevered.
Thank you. Any other? All in favor of the motion to approve those three items, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
It's first reading of ordinances number 22062, 22063, and approval of the impact assessment and conceptual plan.
All right, this moves us to item 9, another major parcel here in Mount Pleasant, which is right down the street.
Yes, sir. So this property is already zoned for the proposed uses. This is for an impact assessment and a conceptual plan for the redevelopment of the Cinnabar. It's 7 acres. It's zoned AB, area-wide business. Proposal is for 200,000 square feet of medical and office, and then an associated parking structure. Staff has worked with the developer, and the developer worked closely with the neighborhood to maintain an existing buffer. Our current requirement is a 25-foot buffer. The developer has stated that they will maintain the existing 50-foot buffer that was put in place from an impact assessment for the Cinnabar back in the early 90s. So the vegetated buffer will remain as it is. Let's see here. Here's a visual of it. So the neighborhood was happy with that. One thing staff wanted, yes, sir.
They were able to do a 25-foot buffer, and I know Jake and I got emails from them. So they were able to do 25 feet. They worked with the neighborhood and left it at 50 feet. Is that?
Yeah, because our minimum requirement today is a 25-foot buffer. There's currently a 50-foot buffer, and so the developer has stated that they will maintain the current 50-foot. Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Let's see, that is only item 9, right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Flipping the page, this moves us to item number 10,
Move to approve.
Second.
which cleans up our language for the building codes and basically, just to be clear, adopts the current language, the current codes, right?
Yes, sir, and it actually makes it a little bit easier. Instead of referencing a specific edition, the year, it has a different language so that we don't have to go through this every time there's an update. But it does bring us into compliance with the
Got it. All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
First reading, ordinance number 22064.
All right, and last but not least, we ask that this be taken off of consent agenda, and we would like to propose an amendment. There was concern by some short-term rental operators about the language, and we actually revised the language, and this
Yes,
was
just a second.
written.
I've recused myself from every other vote on this.
Thank you very much. Please note, Mr. Iacofano has recused himself and left the dais.
So the language has been changed in blue. This language was written by our corporation counsel. They are comfortable with it. Staff is comfortable with it. We feel like this addresses the issue of not only opening up the window of application for current operators, it also provides a deadline, so there's not open-ended applications coming in. This does not say that they are not held to that number. What it means is they are not subject. If they come in and we are at a cap, they are protected. What that means is they are not subject to the cap in the essence of they are protected as long as they have followed all the rules. It does not mean we start at 400 and we go with another 400 after that. Again, our corporation counsel wrote this language, and we are confident that it's crystal clear and that it will help us moving forward.
So is there an amendment?
This is the amendment, yes.
This is the amendment.
The blue text in front of you is an amendment. So instead of saying exempt from the cap, it says they are subject to the cap, we're not subject to the cap. David, did you want to?
No, I don't have anything to add to the substance, but from a procedural standpoint, if council wishes to move forward, it would be appropriate to move for final reading, and then it would be appropriate to move to amend in accordance with the presentation.
Okay, so let me look to the chair. If you'll give us a motion to move to
Move to approve.
Okay,
Move
we
to
have a
approve.
motion to approve.
Second.
And then move to add
One
the
minute.
amendment.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we'll,
Right.
we'll vote.
No, I shouldn't.
Ms. Whitley's correct, that there'll need to be the amendment voted on first and then the entirety.
I didn't ask if there was any discussion on the first.
I'm still not clear how this does not exempt them from the cap. I mean, it specifically says, shall not be subject to the cap. And that's, I mean, verbally, it eliminates them from being included. And I'm having a real hard time.
Okay, but hold on. At this point, should we have the amendment proposed, Mr. Pagliari?
If you'd like to discuss the specifics of the amendment, you can pass it as it was if you vote on the current motion, or there can be a motion to amend, and then we can discuss the amendment language.
I'd like to move to amend based on the recommendations of staff, also for the purposes of discussion.
Got it. Who's second? Second. Thank
Okay.
you.
Um,
Now let's have the discussion. Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Chapman, and I think the reasoning behind this is we currently have 437 short-term rentals in existence, and because of that, if we were to subject them to the cap, there would be 37 people who wouldn't get their short-term rentals again. Does that make sense? So I think this language is protecting the existing short-term rentals from it, but it does say that anything received late after December 15th will be subject to the cap and will be treated as a new STR operator application. So I think this is the only way to protect that extra 37 short-term rentals that are beyond our cap based on the previous version of this ordinance that allowed beyond our cap to exist. And basically, until we have the attrition of those 37 short-term rentals and we're back to our true cap, I think this is the language that is necessary in order to preserve the interests of the existing short-term rental operators, the 437. Is that a correct assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Hyatt.
Can it not say shall be included in the cap? Instead of shall not be subject to the cap?
I'm going to defer to Corporation Counsel because the language came from them. So whatever they're comfortable with, I'm fine with. Sorry.
I just feel like, yeah, everybody's not
The only
comfortable
problem
with
I have
it.
is shall be included in the cap, is the cap is clearly defined in the ordinance as 400. And we did think about that, but that is the reasoning, is that the cap is 400, subject to circumstances that led to an overage. If that is the way, we can write it that way, and I can further clarify it. Of course, I'm going to defend the way it's written, but.
Because you wrote it. In a sense, what we're trying to do is grandfather existing people in without saying we grandfather you in. So to me, if we say that they shall be included in the cap, like that doesn't help us to go over, and then it accepts them.
I think maybe if we add language that says, in no circumstances does the cap move, change, or cease not to exist. If we spell that out clearly, would that help?
Yes.
That would very well.
Please.
Then that's what we will do.
So would we like to defer on this and get?
No, sir. What I would suggest in the language is to direct legal counsel to add language in this specific section, in addition to what's been presented, not remove what's been presented, but add language that specifies that the 400 cap remains, and in no circumstances is it changed or altered. And we
Okay.
will add language to that effect.
Does that help?
That helps a lot.
Okay.
So I would,
That the cap-
so should we motion to amend as he just stated?
make
just-
that part of your
I would adjust my
existing.
motion I adjust my motion to be as stated by our council. And does someone adjust their second?
It's up to our clerk to get it right. Thank you for filling in tonight, too.
I second.
Yeah, second. And if we have any problem with the exact wording, since we are talking legalese here, I guess you can get it
Yes, sir.
straight with the
As
clerk.
always, we'll present it to make sure that there is no discomfort or
Got it.
anything of the sort, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so first we vote on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we vote on passage as amended. I believe we did have a motion, yes. We're operating under that. Any further discussion? All in favor for passage as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good job.
Final reading ordinance number 22052.
Item 9 is committee action items. First is our Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee approval of funding recommendations. Councilman Iacofano.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, and thank you to the ATAC team. They do a wonderful job. And for Marcy, where did she go? There she is. Love having her on board. Hopefully she'll stay there the whole time. I'll read from here, but the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, known as ATAC, met to make recommendations for the 13 funding requests received. The current available balance is $139,125. Council has received a summary of the request and ATAC's recommendation for funding 11 requests totaling $125,500. If council accepts the committee's recommendations, this will leave a $13,625 balance. As such, I move the council approves the funding recommendations totaling $125,500.
Before we get a motion, can I get a point of order? I'm going to steal Mr. Chapman's fire. Number 13, isn't that Southeastern Wildlife Exposition? Wildfire Exposition? Okay, I just.
She's a number cruncher. She does numbers, not English.
Happens all the time. Happens all the time. So just to make sure there's not a check out there looking for a wildfire exposition.
Oh, right here. I'm not
It's on the
showing that on
bottom.
here,
No,
so
it's on the chart. All right.
It's just on the chart.
Just on the chart. It's not on here, though.
All right. Is that from the ATAC committee?
The what, this right here?
The motion. I mean, we really don't need a second if it's from committee, right,
That's
Mr.
correct.
Peggley?
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. So there is a motion. It is not in need of a second. We are in discussion. I have a question.
Okay.
Charleston Wine and Food has moved up to North Charleston. I see that the committee's recommending 20 instead of 25. I know we'll get asked, why are we funding something that has moved even further from Mount Pleasant?
There was a lot of discussion about that actually with the committee, and they do feel that they are still having an impact on rooms within the town of Mount Pleasant. And it is something that is definitely being watched and will be watched even more so this time.
Okay. I just personally, I would like us to monitor that. I'm not objecting to this, but I mean, it's right up there with the bridge run, and we know what the bridge run does. And this is only 5,000 less.
So with having Marcy on board and we've had discussions, as you can see, maybe for one of the first times ever, there's a balance carrying over. So we are really focused with the committee on putting heads in beds, which is the focus of this committee. So there is an arts component of that creates kind of the style of Mount Pleasant. So those are included, but there's a really good point system. They use the point system for the first time. There's some tweaks that need to be made to it, but I think it's going to get better and better, and I think they'll do a much better job with heads and beds. And I think what we really have to focus on is getting the word out a little bit more. And we've got an overage here. We need more applicants. We need more applicants that are putting heads and beds in Mount Pleasant, and I'm not 100% sure that the entire community understands that this is available to them. So I think that needs to be definitely my focus.
Okay, yes, sir, Mr. Chapman.
Mayor, they had an event here. And that was, well, and it was significant. It was a very large event. Would be nice if they did more.
Yeah.
But it was a very well-attended,
Right.
nice event.
Right. I'm just saying the proportion of that to the Cooper River Bridge Run is, when you just look at it this way, I get it, though, it's heads in beds. It's
Well,
people staying here.
and I think the big thing is we discussed is you can have an overage. We can carry those. Well, Marcy, I guess you can explain that probably better than me, if you would like to explain that.
This is in a separate fund, so any additional monies that come in or any monies that are unspent do remain in that fund. They do earn interest and they do carry on over to the next year.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Hart.
So what's the story on item 6 to go from 25,000 to nothing? Do we hold that annually or?
That was a request. So one thing with the scoring thing is you can, and I think it needs to be fine tuned a bit. You can just request, right? So then the scoring goes into the request. We've got to work on those request dollars a little bit. That maybe they reflect heads on beds a little bit more than heads and beds is a point system towards it. Maybe heads and beds needs to be the actual dollar amount is how we come up with the dollar amount. This, I believe this particular item, they had not completed their application all the way, and
It says they don't have proper nonprofit status.
correct.
I'll
They
break
didn't,
down.
they didn't even have the nonprofit, and the application was not completed.
Correct.
All right. Any further discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor to approve the ATAC funding recommendations as presented by committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item B is from Police, Judicial, and Legal Committee, which I chair, and I'll just go ahead, I guess, and do the motion. Someone will have to second. We recommend, after we interviewed all the applicants, and we do have a lot of good applicants in this town, which is really good, but the committee unanimously recommends the reappointment of Judges Thurman and Richter as municipal judges, and that's from the committee.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Item 10, council new business.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This matter comes from legal. We are preparing to acquire necessary right-of-way for Billy Swales Boulevard. There's some property out there, the Oaks at Primus, that was designated for that purpose. And what this resolution do would close the loop and accept that into the system as the Oaks was required to do. However, at this time, since this was prepared and the agenda was prepared, I have heard from legal counsel from the Oaks at Primus, and they wish to work with staff to create a solution for the Billy Swales acquisition, and therefore, at this time, I am recommending to council that we defer this matter for a minimum of 2 months in order to work out an agreement related to the right-of-way.
Can I get a motion, please?
I move for deferral as recommended by council.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 2 months deferral on that. Item B, old business. This is final reading of the ordinance that just puts our wording across all of our documents.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
to approve. And a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I guess just for our citizens' benefit, can you just give us a quick review of what that means?
Sure. Mr. Pegler.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. A few months ago, council made the decision after several iterations to amend our code to unify or at least clarify our citizen speaking time to 2.5 minutes. After that was done, it created 2 different scenarios in our ordinances, and this is meant to clean that up to make it uniform. Therefore, sections 30.35 and 30.36 will both read 2.5 minutes, and that 2.5 minutes will be enforceable also by our boards and commissions. So that is the purpose of it. If we do not do this, we're going to have a significant lack of clarity in our ordinances.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Is that two? Okay, motion passes.
Final reading, ordinance number 22057.
Item C is executive session for the purpose of legal and contractual to discuss the possible action regarding a potential lease of property. Do we have a motion to go into executive session for that purpose?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Before we vote, council may take action on any item, including any subsection of any section listed on an executive session agenda or discussed in an executive session during a properly noticed meeting, which this is. All in favor of going into executive session for the reasons stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are in executive session. Mr. Demore, the lease, the documents concerning the potential lease, those would be considered privileged? Okay, thank you. All right, we have reconvened from executive session. No votes were cast, no action was taken. I believe there is no motion resulting from that. Correct me if I'm wrong. That being the case, item number 11 on our agenda is to adjourn. So we stand adjourned.